Hi, I'm Nina Fountain, Workplace Strategist at Transform Teams, and today I'm sharing with you about the good and the bad of virtual teams. Seeing as virtual teams are on the rise, let's have a look at the upsides and the downsides. Some managers love virtual teams and others hate them, and savvy business leaders ought to be asking themselves, what's in it for me? Certainly, web-based video conferencing, shared screens, cloud-based software have made virtual teams so easy, and employees want flexibility. That it begs the question. So below I've outlined the key pros and cons of virtual teams so you can decide what they could offer your business. And a virtual team is where people work together in different physical locations most of the time. They might still get together every now and then, say once a month or once a quarter, but most of their work is done remotely. So what are the downsides of virtual teams? Well, communication can certainly be limited. All teams should have good communication, but remote teams need to be experts at it. You need to know how to use technology to your advantage, which takes a little sophistication. Team bonding opportunities are limited. Distributed teams don't have the luxury of being able to hang out whenever they want, as traditional office teams do. So they need to find creative ways to connect as a team, and it's not impossible, but it does require some out-of-the-box thinking. Managing availability and time zones can be difficult, and whether your virtual team is global or local, it can be hard to find openings in your calendar when everyone can connect. Plan ahead and be willing to make compromises occasionally. Creating that work-life balance can be hard for some. Working from home can add a lot of distractions to an employee's work life, and some employees struggle to resist temptations like watching TV or doing household chores, while others are very good at staying focused on their paid work. And having a clearly defined area for work does a lot to resolve this issue. Managing a remote team can certainly be a challenge. Not all managers are well suited to managing a virtual team, and it becomes even more important to be a great communicator with empathy and strong leadership skills. Managers can learn these skills, and increasingly they want to, given the rise in virtual teams. And social isolation is real. If you work from home alone without much human interaction, you might start missing the banter and the chit-chat of the office environment. And these days, most virtual teams use video conferencing to counteract this isolation. A daily meeting can go a long way. And less direct line of sight for managers and team members is another challenge. It's not only managers who are interested in team members' performance on the job, peers want to know as well. Managers of virtual teams need to establish transparent outcome measures so that it's obvious that everyone is pulling their weight. And collaborative project management software allows this, but KPIs and objectives for each person's role also help. Fewer impromptu catch-ups. If you work in an innovative, collaborative, or dynamic environment, you might find that a virtual team arrangement makes life difficult. And this is the reason that Yahoo famously asked its telecommuting staff to come back to the office. Telecommunication, through technology, still hasn't replaced the value of face-to-face interactions. However, not every team and not every role requires team members to be collaborative and innovative 24/7. Expensive catch-ups. The successful companies that depend heavily on virtual teams recognize that there is great value in bringing people together. If your team is global, this can become quite expensive. That being said, the savings on office space due to having a virtual team that's not in an office are enormous. So thanks to great tools like video chat, web conferencing, and the ability to record meetings, your need to bring everyone together may not be as pressing as you once thought. Potential lack of cohesion. Every team risks losing cohesion when it stops working towards the same goal. And the difference with virtual teams is that managers may notice that lack of cohesion earlier. Managers still need to establish a clear vision, clarify roles within the team, and manage meetings well so there's no confusion. Now, if you think that sounds like a lot of downsides, notice how each of those issues can be managed to reduce their impact. And in the equation of virtual team pros and cons, the question is whether the upsides are strong enough to counteract the extra effort, which is mainly about communication. So why persist with virtual teams? Well, increasingly the upsides outweigh the challenges. Let's see if you're convinced. Firstly, eliminate a major business overhead. Not having an office means saving on one of the biggest overheads of running a business, second only to staff costs. Even if you provide money for an employee to set up their home office, the cost remains a fraction of the cost of renting an office space. Have a happier and more engaged team. When people don't have to endure a long commute and they have that flexibility in their schedules, they have control back over their lives. And many of the major motivational theories highlight the importance of control and influence in our lives for happiness. Skyrocket your productivity. People who work from home are measurably more productive than those who work in an office. You need to think about what work is being done in your team, because not all work lends itself to being highly productive when working alone or over telecommunication technologies. Expand your hiring pool. Virtual teams enable you to capture skills that were previously inaccessible. With virtual teams, you can hire more experienced employees who don't want to relocate or who want to avoid a long commute. And most people with skills who can't currently access the workforce are extremely keen for a work from home position. You can serve more clients across a wider range of time zones and locations. Now, this is why some businesses have two teams, one on either side of the globe, so that work can continue around the clock. But even if your team is not global, you can extend the hours that you provide customer service by using an international phone number or enabling staff to work the hours that suit them. So if you work face-to-face with your clients, you could enable your team to work virtually to reach a broader geographic distribution. Reduce the time that you need to spend managing your team. If you think that you need to increase the time you spend managing your team, you might be surprised to discover that it could take less time. Micromanagement just doesn't work in virtual teams, so it frees up a lot of your time once you take that out of the picture. Successful virtual managers are good leaders who set a clear direction, allocate roles, help people to understand the outcomes, and then let them get on with it. Enjoying staff loyalty. Members of virtual teams tend to love the flexibility that comes with their new geographic independence. As a result, they report feeling better towards their company and they intend to stay longer. That is, if their manager has worked out how to manage a virtual team in the right way. Fewer sick days taken. Similarly, members of virtual teams are less likely to call in sick. Several businesses have shared examples of how their teleworking and telecommuting staff use fewer sick days, and the research from these businesses shows that it's usually around 6% less. Reduce your carbon footprint. Establish a virtual workplace and take more cars off the road, and see how your employees enjoy talking about their clean commute to their home office. Enjoy unparalleled business continuity. If your business needs to continue to run after a heavy storm, flood, fire, or earthquake, a virtual team is part of your insurance policy. Inevitably, you'll recruit people outside of the affected area who can keep the business running. So virtual teams, in my view, have an essential role in business. I couldn't think of running my workplace culture agency without the advantages of a virtual team. Time Doctor CEO Rob Rawson has shared with us his example of managing his virtual team, so click the link to watch the video and hear what he says. Virtual teams are on the rise because more businesses are realizing that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages by a significant margin. And in an age where business needs to be more agile and do more with less, the importance of virtual teams will only increase. The challenge of getting most out of virtual teams is one that many business leaders and team managers are needing to get their head around. But once great practices are in place, who wouldn't want to reduce office costs, have more engaged staff, and skyrocket productivity? Talk soon.